Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. Cowboy. It is Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. EST, and some surprise news. Kind of surprise, kind of not. Hit on Monday, right? So when I did the Sunday forecast, as I always do, I remind people that Monday news can really change things. So the result is that the Sunday forecast will now be the Monday forecast because the headline risk anymore is just brutal, man. So even though my forecasts often come out correct, and certainly they're worth looking at if I do them on a Monday, it seems as if or on a Sunday, it seems as if I just wait for Monday and see how the market opens and what the headlines look like and all that. I might have a better time at that. But for the moment, we had some news come out yesterday, and I did a tweet about it. Let me go ahead and find that if I can. Let's see here on my profile. Oh, come on, man. Update. Oh, this is it. Okay, so the news here is that 25% tariffs imposed on Japan and South Korea after failing to reach the deal. And that's, that's the article from Zero Hedge, right? Long story short, tariff tantrum might be back in order, as per the title of this show. Now, that brings uncertainty to markets. It doesn't necessarily mean that markets want to fall, but uncertainty will cause markets to fall. And you can see here that after last week's all-time high on Thursday, the market is pretty much just fallen, and that's about it. Now, the Sunday open, and this is the NASDAQ. We're going to look at Bitcoin next. This is NASDAQ. By the way, go to link in the description, get your free algo link description. Give us a real name, fake name. We don't care. Give us your email. We'll give you an algo that you can test out, and it'll teach you how to actually build the basics of it. It doesn't really teach you what we show you in Algo Factory. It just gives you a taste. Right here is the market open on Sunday, and you can see it's really only gone down since. But we did see price kind of bounce yesterday after market close, and it's just hanging out in this area. And I think what's going on here is that there is a little bit of uncertainty, but I think the market is still pretty confident despite all the uncertainty that we have seen in the whole year. The markets have continued to go up. So I'm thinking that we had the major tariff tantrum going back to January. Let's take a look. Let's look at the daily. I can tell you it was right about here. So February, mid to late February, we had the tariff tantrum where you can see the NASDAQ fell and Bitcoin and everything else fell along with it. I think even gold took a tumble, although gold did do really well. But in this time, in that, say from late February to early April, a month and a half, something like that, the NASDAQ fell 25%. That's billions, if not trillions, wiped out of the market all within a short time. And it all came back in in a relatively equal amount of time. Maybe even some of it came back a little more quickly. Deals were made, so on and so forth. And we got all-time highs. We got all-time highs just a few trading days ago. So if I were to take a look at the algos on a higher time frame, I'd tell you that the NASDAQ's absolutely bullish. But right now, there's a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of sell-off, and the real question is, will that continue? Right? Will that sell-off continue? I can make a case either way on this. I think if I were to kind of look at this on a bit of a higher time frame, I think price is going to probably range in this area until it makes a decision, right? But it's still holding up nicely. Even this last 12, 15 hours have done okay. Market's pretty resilient right now despite the taper tantrum, but there is enough technical reason for markets to knock its head, plus a little bit of headline wind. There might be some new headlines today. So-and-so, Japan, makes a deal. We'll take a quick look at that real quick just to see. Futures rebound as markets celebrate Taco Tuesday. So equity futures rise as Trump leaves the door open for more discussions, despite the 14 tariff letters sent yesterday. Extension deadline, which is and the extension of the deadline to August 1st, which is not 100% firm. Okay. So it looks like they kicked the can down the road a little bit, and that's why we saw price kind of head up overnight in the markets. So look, headline risk is it's important. We're looking at all the headlines for the tariffs and so on, and that's why we're seeing this little move up, kicking the can down the road. Sure, we got to do the tariff thing, but we don't want to, upset too many people or upset markets too badly. So that's why I think things will remain relatively stable unless we have something unstable happen. Remember, the big beautiful bill is out. A lot of money is kind of that particular uncertainty is no longer in the market. So let's move over to Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin also is just bullish on the higher time frames, but again, just like the NASDAQ, with which it does have somewhat of a correlation, we're seeing a little bit of a stall out. Now, this is on the daily, and Bitcoin is ranging at this time. Now, usually at this time of the year, Bitcoin kind of falls off a little bit, takes a break, selling may go away. Now, that might end up happening, but we got to see what happens over the next few weeks as to whether or not Bitcoin will also remain resilient like the NASDAQ, or whether or not it will start to range between, say, 100 and 110 very roughly. In reality, we could say, if depending on how you look at things, I think the proper range, based on the bounces here, based on most of the bounces, I'd say between the 100,000 and 110, 110 and a half, right? So we'll see how that goes. Right now, price is at a resistance. Now, if price does stay up here and the high time frame remains bullish, so for example, on the daily chart, in the next few days, price kind of hangs out up here. Let's fix this to make it more visible. Give me just a moment. We'll even make this like that. So if Bitcoin, this is going to give us some clues here. Now, of course, as the markets develop, and we get more data, we'll have a better idea what's going on. But if Bitcoin were to hang out up here and just keep rotating under 110, but not going much lower than 108 maybe, or even 105, if it just stays above there and continues to do this, it's probably going to break out to the top side. Probably. Now, it would require, or at least most likely require, the NASDAQ to remain stable. And it seems as if the most recent decisions by the administration are going to lend themselves to that stability based on kicking the tariff can down the road. So that's that. Now, we are about 10 minutes in, so I'm just going to take a brief look at the USD JPY forex pair. Very strong bullishness here. I did call a trade on this, and the trade was on a much higher time. Well, it was on basically this time frame, but I called this move up right here in a big way. And this spike right here kind of took the opportunity from us, and that was based on news last week right here. So I did have a nice, beautiful trade going long that I share with the Algo Factory, and I was waiting for the conditions to line up, and it just rocketed up without me. So then, what can you do? I'm not gonna buy something that's just went up a bunch. And then, of course, price came back down, and then the open on Sunday was rather bullish for the JPY. I will say that it remains bullish just from the price action. It will eventually come to a point where it's not going to be able to move up, and I think even now it's starting to slow down. I think you're going to start to see it slow down, but I think before it turns around, price might challenge or test, I should say, this top right here, which is sitting at 148.029. So you might see something like this where it kind of crawls up some spurts and then crawls up, and we'll see what happens at this area. If the bullishness really remains on the higher time frame, you'll see the USD JPY break upwards. If not, then it'll do whatever it does. We'll have to see how it behaves in the meantime. But what I would be doing here is looking for pullbacks to buy on the way up, provided that this remains bullish, right? I look for price to give me a nice little entry on the way up. Now, of course, if everything flips over, becomes bearish, then we do the opposite, and I'll be looking for tops to sell. All right, well, that's all we have for now. What I'm going to do is take us over to the private live lab over at Algo Factory. Again, go to the link in the description. Give us a name. Doesn't have to be a real name. You can call yourself, James the Head Basher. I don't know, whatever. I'm just making things up. Probably sound pretty stupid. But go ahead and put your email in there. We will immediately send you an algorithm, and we'll keep you on the list to let you know when we're going to do a free It's gonna be a workshop. You guys can watch me trade for a couple days. Was gonna do it in June, but June was wild, man. The all the headlines and Iran and everything was just getting out of control. So I held off on that. That's my excuse. I also was just like super busy and didn't do it. But when I went to sit down to do it, I'm like, yeah, man, this is really hard to predict what's going on. So I think things have calmed down a little bit. We didn't go into World War III, so we'll put you on a list to let you know when that's going to be. And we'll send the weekly updates, which will be Monday instead of Sunday. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow here, bright and early. In the comment section, if you want me to cover something, just ask. And as long as it's, makes sense, I will cover it. If it's like, hey, what's my shitcoin going to do, then I may not cover it just because there are a lot of cryptos not doing anything right now, with the exception of like Bitcoin and a few others. So that being what it is, just don't forget.
Join us or die.
Just kidding. No one's going to die. We love you. That's Alan Rickman having a good time. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you all for watching.